Unsyndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
All right, he's Shep. I'm Sean. Hi. Hope everything is going well. Shep, a lot of Lions stuff to get to, but as my buddy Gordy Wilson said, hi, Kool-Aid already. My buddy Gordy texted me this afternoon. He said, I could really get used to this 2:00 matinee game.
Love that.
I think they should have games for Italians, for Germans. We saw the game for Germany today. Maybe fire a game for the Russians, whatever. Boy, I 2:00 in the afternoon. Are you kidding me? That was pretty cool.
Not just that, it helps NHL Network with some programming, right? It's better than what they usually have. So, anytime you can watch a game and there's fannies in the seats like that, and you get that type of game, I know it wasn't the most entertaining game, but it was still pretty damn good, especially for the Red Wings. I'm all for it, man. Way to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, Red Wings found a way, though. They have to keep finding a way. They have to keep finding ways. Shep, right now.
Let me ask you this, and
yes,
I know you talked about it this morning, but in case people didn't see you on Woodward Sports this morning, when Todd McClellan comes out and says what he said after the loss to Carolina, which I'm all for, by the way,
100%.
That is not an open statement to Steve Yzerman saying we need help. That's him talking to his team, and he's telling them we can't have any bus riders. We need drivers, right? Who do you think he was referring to?
I have some thoughts. I do have some thoughts. I think my personal opinion, I think a couple of the young guys, and I think one of them responded today. I felt, Shep, I didn't even check the numbers. I could be off base here, but perception is reality, so I'm going to go with it. I thought the Red Wings did a far better job today of doing a bunch of little things, especially blocking shots. I saw a lot of it. Yeah, I saw a lot of it in the defensive zone and everything. I will say this, all right, and I don't think I'm saying anything. I think they're still a little soft. I think there's still a lot of soft.
Me too.
And if 3 coaches in a row are talking about that, if 3 coaches in a row are still saying this, you have to make a choice to be tough. You have to, in various ways. That's a roster construct.
Sean, that is the best point I've heard so far. If multiple coaches have said the same thing, why is it we feel like you've got to protect so many of those young guys if they ain't getting it yet?
Yep.
Now, I'm with David 100%. I thought he was referring specifically to Marco Kasper. Simon Edmondson's got more goals than he does. He's a -14 going into the game today. He has been basically non-existent. And I know and I'm not saying give up on him. Don't take this out of context. I just think there has to be a little bit more grit. And I know I hate that word sometimes too, because I think it's been overused by Lions fans, but everybody's using it now. JB Bickerstaff uses it. AJ Hinch uses it. Why not let us use it every once in a while? There's got to be a little bit more grit. And I know that word sandpaper is probably overused in hockey, but the Red Wings need some of that. And that's why I've asked, that's why when you and I have talked about this, there are certain guys that I would really like. Like I like Vinny Trocheck, and I like him because he plays with a little bit of an edge. I like Dougie Hamilton because I think he does something similar to that. I think Rob Thomas plays a little bit harder through the middle too as a center for the Blues. The Pettersson rumors trouble me because he is exactly what they have in that sense.
Yes. I don't like it. That's why, Shep, I thought the message was received today. I made the point without saying his name. I thought the message wasn't received today. I think we saw certainly a more engaged Kasper. He ended up picking up a couple assists. I was joking with the guys earlier. Is Mason Appleton going to score a goal in 2026? Y or N? These are questions that have to be answered. But
he has played hard.
He has.
He's the one who he's not super talented. His talent is the grinded out type play along the end wall, maybe the half board, wherever it is he may be. That's what he brings to this team. Anything more than that, and not necessarily scoring. I don't expect him to score 15 goals. Anything more than that, you're probably pretty happy with, right? You can't have all the same kind of guys, and he's the one guy. I would say maybe cop a little bit who give you that edge. Don't you think? JVR.
I think when you add it all up, though, I don't care who you are. If you go, 22 games now? He hasn't scored since the 31st of December. He hasn't scored in the calendar year yet. When you add it all up, and I know people don't like to talk about this in our town, because I know there are some people, you and I touched on this last week. There are some people that, are fed up. There are some people that aren't. Again, if we're having the same conversation, 3 coaches in a row, about some of the guys on this roster, well, that points directly to the general manager. It really does. It points directly to the general manager.
How you've constructed your roster.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. So, this is the wrong time. All one has to do is look at the Atlantic Division. You can play this game at home right now. Look at the Atlantic Division. Look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now. Every one of them have been on some kind of heater recently. And the Red Wings have kind of been going like this for a little while. It's a quick way to fall behind. I mean, the good news is they're back in the 2-3 spot. The bad news is they have games in hand on people. So, Montreal wins a game, they go right back up over them. And oh, by the way, they have an extra game in hand as well, and so on and so forth. What amazes me throughout this process right now is we've all been waiting for the Florida Panthers to just get right, Shep, and it's not happening. I mean, it really isn't. And I've watched them multiple times in the last few days. I'm telling you, it's not happening. It's just not happening for them. Maybe they've played too much hockey. I don't know, but okay, here comes their run. They're going to get right. They're going to get right. And it isn't happening.
Yeah. The health, the whole aspect. I know my dog knocks open the damn door.
That's right.
Single time we're on. You can't shut a door in the house because he knocks it down. And you know what he does? He knocks it down and then he leaves. Just leave the door open. I'm gone. Anyway, 100%. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's the early injury, because Barkov was hurt. I think they have a great coach and they have some really strong leadership. And sometimes it just doesn't always come together in a certain season, especially after 2 really successful seasons.
Greg said, do the Wings bomb in March for the 4th straight year if Gibson is hurt for a long period of time? Well, here's the $1 million question. Do you call up Sebastian?
100%.
I think so too.
100%.
Yep, I think so too.
He's been. I don't know what more a guy has to prove. If Cam Talbot wasn't going to start playing, and he played well enough today, 18 saves in relief. If he wasn't going to start turning it around a little bit, since he didn't look great against Carolina, then I wondered aloud if you would bring Sebastian Cossa up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at some point, I think any organization in any sport is like this. At some point, other organizations are like, damn, I mean, it's one thing letting a kid marinate, but he's drowning down there in Grand Rapids. He's done everything you could hope for. And don't give me this AHL championship crap, okay? He needs to play. That's the difference, okay? And if Gibson's hurt, you call him up and you play him because he's playing down in Grand Rapids and he needs the repetition. You know this as well as anybody. Goalies will tell you that. They find a groove, much like a shooter in basketball, a pitcher in baseball, a quarterback in football, and a golfer who's got to swing right. Saved Shane Lowry yesterday in the blow-up, losing 3 strokes in the last 3 holes. So, yeah, I would think if there is a long-term I don't know how long-term it would be, but if there's any problems with John Gibson, at least you have Sebastian Cossa, who's played really well for Grand Rapids.
It's interesting. McClellan after the game said, he took the shot upstairs, said they thought it was more of a stinger. They'll wait and see how things work out. You hope that's the case because obviously he's been playing so well. But hey, listen, you've seen it many times in the National Hockey League. And I'm not saying that they're going to go on a heater or win a Stanley Cup or something like that. And let's go back to what Dylan Larkin said just last year. A lot of times it's like that breath of fresh air in the locker room as well.
sure. Yeah.
All right, here's a young guy. We kind of like what we've seen from afar out of him, and we kind of like his swagger in the room as well. I think it would be a big pick me up, because I'm going to say again, Shep, I just don't expect them to be as active as I know people want them to be. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't expect them to be as active as I know people want them.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're waiting for, okay? Because I was thinking about this today. Well, let's say they don't want to part with Carter Bear, or they don't want to part with Nagard, or they don't want to part with Danielson, or they don't want to part with Johansson. I mean, when's the timing going to be right for all those guys to come together?
Understand it.
And do it for an extended period of time. I know I'm not saying it's easy. Okay. I'm not claiming it's easy, but man, I mean, you've spent 8-9 years building up your farm system. Part of a team's farm system, just ask Dave Dombrowski, is to use it to improve the current roster.
My guy.
They have not done it.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I kind of look at the way he did things in Tampa, and I always bring this up when Drouin wanted out, and Steve is like, cool, well, I'm going to do my best to do that, but I'm not going to do it to the detriment of my team. You're going to stay here until I find a move. And then he made a great move as well in making that deal. I think he's playing with patience. I think he's playing the long game. I'm going to say the same thing we talked about last week, Shep. Anybody who tells you they know what Steve Yzerman is going to do is lying to you. Yeah. You do not. So I want to make it crystal clear. I have no idea what Steve Yzerman is going to do.
Right.
But from, kind of his past setting the table, if you will, in Tampa, there was the Ben Bishop, which beget his guy, Vasilevsky, who in my mind is still the best goaltender in the game right now. And there was the patient build up before you start to, pass some of those pieces off and everything. It's about when he thinks they're ready to, when they're ready to compete, and they're just not ready to compete yet.
Okay. I keep hearing that, and I trust the hockey knowledgeable people who say it, but can you tell me, you don't have a crystal ball, but can you tell me which young player has been so good that you feel like you've got to?
None.
Huh?
None.
Okay. So not that think about who they're bringing up when they have to. Who are they bringing up? Who's the guy they call up?
Next.
They're not calling up anybody, Sean. They're not calling up
Sebastian. You would think it was Sebastian, right?
No. I'm sorry. I'm referring to when there's an injury to somebody else. Okay. Who else are they bringing?
Oh no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, right. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they're bringing up Shine. They're not bringing up all these young guys who they've promoted and drafted highly, and everybody sees them as a big reason why they got one of the best farm systems. So I think fans, not that you're a general manager for fans, but I think there's a lot of fans who are like, huh? Well, what gives here? I don't understand where you're going with this.
I always say this. I know we talked about it last week. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's so funny to hear some of the trade offers that fans throw out there. And I always tell people, okay, now that you made that offer, I want you to turn around, and now you have to play you have to play Drury in New York. You have to play Ken Holland in LA, wherever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And you listen to the offer that you just made to them. Because what I'm going to do 99 times out of 10 is go, Steve, you're drinking tonight. I'm going to hang up on him with some of these trade offers that come out there,
Or think about, I always think of how they have to address the media. Okay. They call a press conference. Ken Holland calls a press conference, and he's got to face the questions from the media. And he's in LA, and he says, yeah, we just traded this guy for these guys that you've never heard of, but they're going to help us. They're going to make us better. And the fan base is going to really like these guys. And the fan base is like, look, we're lucky if we can follow your NHL team, let alone somebody else's AHL team.
Right.
So that ain't working, man. In the words of, Mark Knopfler and company, that ain't working. That's not how it's going to go, man. I mean, people want what they perceive to be the right return on the investment. It's like the David Montgomery thing today.
Yep.
There's some people who don't like it, but a 4th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and a swing offensive lineman, that's a pretty good deal from Brad Holmes based on what any tracker would tell you should be what was coming back.
No doubt. Let me get to some and signed Augustine too makes Michigan State worse. That's good. Doug,
they ranked second. State's ranked second, correct?
Ranked second now. Yeah. Rough weekend against Ohio State. Now all they need is a win in regulation next weekend, and they're going to win the Big Ten again. But
they play Minnesota next.
Yeah, they got Minnesota next weekend. So
Ohio State, they won the first game in a shootout, right?
No, that was the second one. Ohio State pounded them Friday night. It was Saturday. Yeah, it was. Who do you like in the high school playoffs? Does Livonia Stevenson have a chance? Of course they do. They're the Spartans. Come on, Doug, you know better than that.
Who's the favorite?
Catholic Central by far in Division I. Flint Powers. Flint Powers is the defending D2 champ who beat Livonia Stevenson in the finals last year in overtime. I think they're even more of a favorite this year. Division III is the really intriguing one to me, Shep. Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, or Houghton. 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Orchard Lake, St. Mary's should definitely be Division III.
So yes, Doug, can Livonia Stevenson? Yes. But Flint Powers is they're legit. You're gonna have to trust me when I say that. We have 4 JMs that are way too passive in Detroit. It sucks, but Sean loves his prospects. Keep them marinating is what Sean says. Oh, I love prospects. Hold on to every one of them. Shep, I'm gonna say it again. I like the disrespect thrown at Dave Dombrowski's name for a few years there blew my mind. And especially, I'm going to say it, these are Sean's words, not Shep's words, okay? Especially from people that just kissed his butt when he was here, and when it was convenient for them, decided to throw him under the bus a couple of years later.
Yep.
That stuff drove me out of my mind. Hi, beat writers. How you guys doing? Shout out, all right?
Right.
That stuff infuriated.
100%, the second guessing constant, okay? And then how did those players end up? How good were they when they left?
Yep.
Oh, that's conveniently not written about. Or talked about.
No doubt about it. What's up, Legion? Any news on Gibson's injury? Took a puck upstairs. McClellan said after the game he thought it was a stinger, but they're going to check it out and to be sure. Is that cool?
Yep, that's about right. Yep.
Joe, fan trades are the best. I love it.
Yeah, everyone for Celebrini. That's what I want Steve to do. Yeah, well, he's a generational talent. I'm sure Steve, every general manager would love Macklin Celebrini on their team.
Do you know how many packages were put together that included Matthew Dandino and Chris Draper back in the day, Shep? I think they got Yager for Dandy and Drapes. And then sometimes they were really nice. They threw in like a 5th rounder too. It was like, oh, are you serious?
Well, that's nice of you.
I'm getting Drapes and Dandy and a 5th rounder. Like,
for a top line winger,
yeah,
who's going to give you 90 points on the year. Wow.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good
job.
So,
yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm really intrigued at the straight. Shep, I'm going to say it again. I know people are worried about the March swoon. I don't think it's going to happen. If I were a betting man, I think they finish in the 7 or 8 spot and get in the playoff. And unfortunately for them, if they do that, you know what the prize will be? It'll likely be either Carolina or Tampa in the first round. And I don't, that's not going to go up too well,
Yeah, they both scare me. I do like what Todd McClellan said today. He's like, I'm not answering any more questions about March. This team's going to write its own story.
Brilliant.
And good for him. Yeah. Done. Yep. Okay. We can't just because now are there some lineages or is there some links to some of these past teams? Yes, obviously the last 2 March teams, there's been some guys on this team. That doesn't mean that this team automatically has to follow suit. So I like what he said. Yeah.
What do you think of this whole Monty thing? I think it's an exercise in media, especially social media. It's an exercise in a lot of times, Shep, there's a lot of smoke and what I found in my life is not always, but most of the time there's fire. And this is just one of those moves that just sounds like it had to happen for the team and the player.
I think it's worked out great for both of them. David Montgomery wanted to go to Houston if he was going to get traded. He's going to get a chance to be the number one, and the Lions got quality in return. There's nothing those are the best trades. Those are the best trades, right? Now, so Brad Holmes has, a first. He's got a second. He's got a couple of fourths, right? He's got 3 6. I think he's got 1 4, 2 5s, 3 6, and a couple of 7s. You can package some of that to move up in the draft if you so choose, which is great. I think David Montgomery gave this town everything he had, but he wants to be a number one guy. I don't blame him at age 29.
No,
he should want to be a number one. I'd be concerned if he didn't want to be a number one guy. So I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. He gave this town 3 good years, but his touches and his involvement were going down, and he wants to win. And I think this is the right move for the Lions and the right move for him. They'll find a way to get a second back, Sean. I don't know if it's going to be James Conner, who was released, or if it's going to be Sione Vaki, or if they're going to draft one in the middle rounds. And that's a possibility too. But I think this is the right move for this team. And then, of course, cutting Graham Glasgow is the right move for this team to save $5.5 million. This team needs to reorganize some deals. They need to get rid of some cap, and then they can use that to go get the guys that they really need, whether it be a guy like Joey Bosa on the defensive end, or a guy, who's going to give you good protection up the middle. I don't know if it's Connor McGovern or who it may be, but I think that's where they're going with it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Both sides of the line. You are lying to yourself if you think that either side of the line was enough last year. You just are. I don't know how else to say it. I really don't. Especially the people that defend the defensive line. There aren't as many with the offensive line. The people that defend the defensive line, I always say this, go back to the Thanksgiving Day game and watch Jordan Love drinking tea. It was gross to me. He had all the time in the world. I love that somebody brought up Bobby Lang. Bobby Lang and Mike Babcock were like that. To say that they got along and had a mutual respect for each other.
Like Mike Commodore. Right. Yeah.
Gross understatement. I could tell you stories. I had a Red Wing tell me that I'm not going to ever throw anybody under the bus, but a guy on that team told me the last month of the year, whenever Mike Babcock would say something to him, Bobby Lang would just look at him and go, F you, Babs. He goes, those were the only words that he ever said to him, like the last month of the year. And he goes, the guys on the team just cried. We thought it was the funniest thing because it was like, I'm not going to be here next year. You think I'm putting up with this maniac?
Right.
So, yeah, good story. But Shep, you brought it up earlier and Greg brings it up. What about a 1 and a 2 for Max? I heard he wants to be a Lion. I think I saw one person say that on Twitter, so you know it's a fact. Pretty sure a 1 and a 2 is all Vegas would want back. I will give up 2 number 1 picks all day. Shep, I am firmly in camp. F them picks. What? For what now? For what? Okay. So I could take a chance on Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, who I think is a really good player.
Yeah.
Or I could take a chance on Falk from Auburn, who I think is a really good player. Or I could give up those 2 number 1 picks for a guy that has a vested interest in this area, as you know, over at Rynearson. And I don't think he's a good player. I know he's a good player.
Here's what I look at. And with all due respect, I don't care if the guy's got a vested interest in the area. I really don't. Here's what I care about. He puts up numbers. He puts up consistent numbers. And here's the other thing. He doesn't come off the field. So you got a guy who played 94% of the snaps last year at one end. You got a guy who played about 94% of the snaps at the other defensive end. You got a guy who not just sacks the quarterback, pressures the quarterback, knocks passes down, recovers fumbles, and plays the run well. He's one of the most complete edge rushers in the NFL. He's not super old. He's going to be a little bit lenient on your cap in a couple of years. If he were available in the draft right now, knowing what he could do, would you give up a first-round pick for him?
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. So your first-round picks, granted, they're valuable. I understand it. Your first-round pick for Terry Arnado wasn't very valuable, was it? No, it wasn't. So At 17, you're telling me you could get the equivalent to Max Crosby? I doubt it.
Okay.
I'm giving up that first-round pick and the next first round, and I'm taking Max Crosby, and I'm going to work, baby.
Yep. And Shep, it is, to me, the cherry on top of the sundae is the vested interest here. I think his play speaks for itself. Oh, and he's got a connection here. He's got that Eagle connection. It's like, yeah, I mean, it just makes sense across the board. I don't get it. I'm not saying that somebody is false in their reporting when I hear things like that, Shep. But I think you know this as well as anybody else. It is amazing sometimes how people let information get out there that might not exactly be the 100% truthful information,
Sure,
but a lot of times information is slipped out for a reason. And we'll leave it at that.
There's a little bit of casting of that bait. There's no question about that. Okay. Here's the other thing I like about Max Crosby. That dude is so tired of losing. He wants to freaking win. Okay. I want you to think about it. Okay. He's at Eastern Michigan. What did they win? He's with the Raiders. What have they won? He wants to flip and win, and he'll do whatever he possibly can. On top of that, in a day and age where people are resting for ridiculous reasons, he's out there in that last week getting pissed off at the organization. And part of the reason he wants to be traded is because he wanted to play in a quote unquote meaningless game, and the team wouldn't let him. You don't want that guy?
Yeah, right.
I'll take him any day of the week.
Greg said, what happened to that dude from Boise State that's from Egypt, the Egyptian magician, Hassanin? Yeah. Very good in preseason. Last year before he got hurt, I still feel he's a serviceable D lineman. He is, and Brad takes a lot of crap for this, Shep. He is another one of Brad's projects. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, we all know Brad. Brad he's taken some chances on guys that, maybe have an injury background, or let's see what this is in a couple years. I love the kid's attitude. I'll die for you. Thank you for believing in me. I was waiting for somebody to believe in me, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's all chatter until you prove it on the football field. And I think that's a difference between, as we're talking about Max Crosby, and what we hope Hassanin to be.
Yeah, those were great quotes. People love that. They lap it up. Whatever. I mean, I want to see him on the field. I want to see him play. He's a little undersized, but I hope he plays well. I hope he comes. Look, as a 6th-round draft pick, I don't know if, I suppose they are projects. Yeah, they would be. They would be considered projects. But 6th-rounders, what are you expecting out of them? I wouldn't be expecting anything out of them from the first year. So whether he was hurt or not, I would not have expected him to make any type of impact. I mean, the odds of 6th-rounders, I know the Brock Purdy's of the world and the Tom Brady's of the world. I get all that. But that would have been a surprise to me. So he's a depth guy. That's all he is.
Rotation.
For right now. And that's okay. But there's a reason that they were trying to have Marcus Davenport play. There's a reason that Al-Qadim Mohammed was in there as often as he was. Okay, because this kid was A, hurt, and B, they kept those guys on the roster because they weren't sure what that guy was going to give them. And there's a reason that people are still in belief that they need something on that edge, because that kid hasn't shown us anything. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really a question. Anybody who says no to that would be an idiot and shouldn't be running a football franchise.
Before I get to Doug's comment, I still think one of the most unbelievable moments of last year is when Marcus Davenport was like visibly upset that people could question why he can't stay healthy and why fans say things. It's just like, Shep, dude, I feel sorry for you. Like, Marcus, I do. I'm sorry. But please tell me that you can understand. You can get mad as much as you want. You can get angry. You can get resentful. The only way that people are going to stop saying you're injury prone is if you stay healthy.
Right.
That's it. I'm sorry.
You've given everybody every single reason why not to believe. Now give us a reason to believe.
Yes, that's exactly it. Do you re-sign AQM and still trade for Crosby or Garrett? Shep, it's funny. the whole Garrett thing. I think some people thought that maybe Max Crosby was going down the Garrett road because clearly Myles Garrett was using that as an opportunity sign with Cleveland. Right? Yep. We know that. I don't think Max Crosby is. It sure doesn't sound like that, right?
No, I don't believe so. I think he legitimately wants out. I think he said that with his actions, and he said that basically with his words. Myles Garrett, I don't think is obtainable. Max Crosby is, and I think the Raiders have allowed that. Muhammad is going to – would you pay him? Well, he'll make – what's he projected, 15 to 18? I wouldn't pay him.
No, sorry. Especially if is there meat on that bone with Max Crosby? Are you serious? All I have to do is give up 2 number ones. And again, remembering where the Lions are likely to be picking the next couple of years, would I give up 2 number ones for that? Absolutely. Wouldn't even
remember this too, that he's going to help your secondary.
Yep. That's
so he's making more. This team needs an impact player at a few different positions. Okay, they haven't been great at drafting corners. Darius Slay was the last one, and look what happened with him. They haven't been great at judging corners, and they have been searching for that opposite defensive end, right? Mm-hmm. So if you feel like you can draft or sign a center and a guard, and obviously you just picked one up in the trade, Montgomery, and you feel at some point during the draft you can grab a safety or a corner, and you might have some room to sign one too as a free agent. You make a trade for Max Crosby. He's helped those guys on the back end. Maybe a guy like Terrion Arnold, if he stays out of jail, improves a little bit. You never know what you can do, but you do know that dude as an entity is going to be a wrecking machine. He's going to be a leader. He's going to play every single down that he possibly can, and he's going to help you not only on the front end against the pass and the rush, but he's going to help your back end too. So I'm all for it, man. But
and
I don't know if it's going to happen, Sean.
Shep, lest we forget, our safeties are just one big question mark. I don't have an answer for either one of them. I don't. I wish I did. Right now, as we sit here, March 2nd? Oh, yeah, Kirby's going to be fine. Oh, don't worry about Brian Branch. I have no idea. I don't think they do either. That's the worst part. So
I would guess, Sean, if based on need, I would say their need might be in the secondary more than anything else. Because you're not going to draft a center.
No.
You're going to sign a center, okay? Mm-hmm. At least you have some options at left guard. Fair enough? Mm-hmm. Okay, whether it be Mahogany, whether you got it's the new juice, whatever. You're going to need to draft a safety and a corner at some point in the draft. And this is the reason when you and I have talked about this on your podcast, this is what we've said. We said it before the year began, you better damn well hope that Terrion Arnold comes through. You better damn well hope that Enos Rakestraw comes off that injured list and suddenly is a player or some type of contributor. You need them to be, because they're a first and a second round pick. You miss on them, how far does it set you back? Now you've got to double up.
Yep. Bill draft a safety. Bill, words that I never thought we would be saying even a year ago. Agreed. Even a year ago.
Agreed.
Never thought. What on earth are you talking about? They arguably have the 2 best safeties in their. What are you talking about? It's one question mark now for both of them. It's one big question mark. I don't know.
And you can get them, by the way. You can get a decent corner in the second round. Cooper DeJean is an all-pro. He was a second-round pick out of Iowa.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Shep, before we get out of here? Anything on your mind you want to yell at anybody?
No, I do have one question for you regarding the Pistons.
All right.
After winning the other night, and they got Cleveland tomorrow. They won despite their 3-point shooting or the lack thereof. 4 triples. That's it. That has been their Achilles heel. Do we look at it like they have beaten teams despite that poor shooting, and they have found ways to beat them? Or does it give you long-term concern because this team hasn't shown a propensity to be consistent with that shot, and they're going to need it in the postseason?
Shep, in this case, I'm gonna take the positive, because I've watched this entire week. I watch a Piston team that should have lost that game on Friday night, right? Should have lost that game. Mm-hmm. We're down, a dozen yesterday. that Piston team is now doing the reverse of what we saw the Pistons do not that long ago. Yeah. And they're making the opposition find new and inventive ways to lose. This is a team that's finding a way in spite of their issues. And we'll obviously we'll see when Beef Stew comes back and everything. Long term, are you going to need some more of that? Absolutely. But right now, and yeah, Shep, they're on pace for what, 63 wins?
Yeah, 62, 63 wins. My concern is when you play a team in a 5 or a 7 game series, you can't have that aspect of your game be so empty and expect to win. And Dave brings up Dave Rieger, good friend of ours.
Hi, Rieger.
Hey, Dave, thanks for watching. They need another scorer besides Cade. I don't disagree with that. I think Jalen Duren has become that guy. I've never seen him.
Took a big step.
I've seen so much growth in him and so much confidence. He was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week, by the way. He looks like he goes out there and says, you know what, I'm the dude. I'm the shit. And everybody needs to know that. And he plays like it for the most part. He's not a scorer. He does put up points. He puts up big numbers. But I think what Dave's referring to is you need a more consistent guy who can shoot from the outside. Now, I would say, this is going to make people laugh, Tobias Harris is one of those guys who can still post up, back to the basket, hit turnaround jumpers, good mid-range jump shooter. But when Duncan Robinson is off, and he went 0 for 4 last night from 3, when he's that off and he's not giving you that balance from the outside, they got serious issues. And that's not who you expected to count on when you first signed him and you had this team roster put together.
No doubt. No, but it's going to be fun. You know what? I'm engaged with this team. I think a vast majority of people are, and that's the first time a lot of us can say that.
Amen to that. Yeah, we're in a good spot, as we've said. I mean, Michigan State had a really nice win against Indiana. Kudos to them for sweeping the Hoosier State, winning at Purdue, which is a really tough place to win. I would think if the NCAA selection committee voted right now, they would be a 3 seed. Michigan would be a 1 seed. Both Michigan and Michigan State women's basketball are playing well. Both Michigan and Michigan State's hockey teams are doing very well. And then, we've got all these positive things going. So without sounding too much like a negative Nancy, I mean, we feel pretty good about what's going on.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. Make sure you check out Shep in the morning and then in the afternoon on Woodward with Braylon. Always a pleasure, my friend. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Oh, you bet. Have a great week.
You guys. Thanks for joining us live. Todd, thank you very much. Let me end the stream and I'll say keep hope alive.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.